Okay, this is page 13, and this page is all about converting fractions back to percentages. Okay, now you'd only really do it this way, I guess, if your fractions had a denominator that could easily be turned into 100. If it was something that you couldn't do that, you would turn it into a decimal first. So all of the questions on this page have fractions where the denominators can be turned relatively easily into 100. Here's a couple of examples. We've got 3/10. We can easily turn this 10 into 100 by timesing by 10. We have to do the same to the numerator. Once we've got 30 over 100, we know that that's 30%. This one, 15/20, we can easily turn 20 into 100 by multiplying by 5. So we do the same to the numerator, we get 75%. So it'll be a very quick page to complete this one. 7/10, turn 10 into 100 by timesing by 10, times the numerator by 10, and we'll get 70 over 100, which is 70%. Same thing on the next one, we're going to multiply by 10, and that will give us a denominator of 100. If we multiply the numerator by 10, that'll give us 90, so we've got 90%. 8/100 is already out of 100, so that one is just 8%. We don't need to do much to that at all. 30/50, it's quite easy to turn 50 into 100 and just double it. So we're going to double the top number and we get 60. So 60 over 100 is 60%. 24 over 50, we're going to do the same thing. Going to double that denominator, so we double the numerator, we get 48, so 48%. 7/25, how do we turn 25 into 100? We times by 4, or we double it and double it again. We do the same to the numerator, we're going to get 28, so this is 28%. Anything with the same denominator, we have to multiply by what we did in the other question. So timesing by 4 here, so that gives 100. 8 times 4 is 32. You can see why it's going to be really useful to be good at your times tables to do this. That's with a lot of things in maths. Okay, and question 8, we've got 20ths this time. How do we turn 20 into 100? We times by 5. 3 times 8 by 5, we're going to get 40, so this is 40%. The other way to do that one is to simplify first. Okay, so you could have actually divided by 2 and got 4/10, and then it's possibly easier to see that that's 40%. Okay, the last one seems trickier than the others because what do we times 40 by to turn it into 100? Well, it would have to be a decimal number, so that's a bit harder than the rest. But what we can do sometimes is simplify first, kind of like I did there in question 8 actually. We can get smaller to give us a number that will then easily go into 100. Okay, so can you think of what we can turn this into which is maybe smaller than 40, which will then go into 100? Well, a couple of different options here. We could go with 10, because both these numbers are divisible by 4, and then we could times by 10, or we could turn it into 20. Okay, I'm going to go with 10, so I'm going to divide by 4. So I've simplified that fraction. If I divide the numerator by 4, that will give me 3, and then it's easy to turn tenths into hundredths, which times by 10, numerator as well. That gives us 30, so 30%. Okay, so don't forget you can get smaller first if it then helps you get to 100. Okay, wordy questions. Cameron got 26 out of 50 in his test. What is his result as a percentage? Now, it's more likely that we're going to need to do this skill, turning fractions into percentages, than this skill, turning percentages into fractions. Okay, I think about it, every time you get a test back, you figure out your percentage. Okay, and it's likely that the test wasn't out of 100, it might have been out of 50, a lot of your tests are. So we then have to turn it into percentage. So Carson got 10 out of 50 in his test. First thing I would do is write that down as a fraction. Okay, and what is this result as a percentage? So we need to turn it into a number out of 100. So I need to double both of these. So he got 20 out of 100. He didn't do very well. So he got 20%. Okay. 1 out of 10 houses in a street had solar panels. What percentage of houses in the street have solar panels? So you need to turn this into fraction over 100 times by 10. That gives me 10%. 5 out of the 20 eggs in a container are cracked. What percentage are not cracked? Right, okay, so first of all, that's the fraction which are cracked. So the fraction which aren't cracked is this. So you could either do the fraction which aren't cracked and turn that into a percentage, or you could turn this into a percentage and then find the percentage which aren't cracked. So it's up to you, really. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so it's this I'm trying to turn into a percentage. So I need to turn 20 into 100. To do that, times by 5. 15 times 5 is 75. So this is 75%. So many ways to do that question. We could have also simplified this down to a quarter. So 3/4 aren't cracked. That's 75%. And finally, question 4. 3 out of the 5 bananas in a bowl are rotten. What percentage are rotten? So 3/5 are rotten. What's that as a percentage? How do I turn 5 into 100? Timesing by 20. So times this by 20. I've got 60, so 60%. Okay, thanks for watching.